sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa.
Years in the air service business. It is a remarkable achievement. We're proud to have been a part of a number of those years, but I know how hard it is to make it through everything that the airline industry has had to go through recently and over that 40-year period. So how about a round of applause for 40 years? And I am not going to try and introduce a man who needs no introduction. So please help welcome Sir Richard Branson. Thank
you. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful welcome. Thanks everybody for being here. I've just got bright lights in my eyes. I know there are people there. Las Vegas. Many happy memories, as I'm sure a lot of people do, and maybe not some not so happy memories. I think one of the first times I came here was actually on a Virgin America inaugural flight, and generally when I arrive to launch something new, somebody's arranged a stunt, and it was a really windy day, about 60 miles an hour wind blowing, and I saw these people standing outside this hotel, waiting with their hair blowing everywhere, waiting for me to arrive for a party to welcome the airline in, and the team said, no, you're not going to just go in there, you're going to come with us. So they could take us into the lift and take us up onto the roof. They started attaching a bungee jump to me, and they said, you're going to jump into the party. And this was I think the tallest building in Vegas. And I hadn't been pre-prepared. I knew it was very windy. I felt pretty uncomfortable about it. But foolishly, my nickname is Dr. Yes. I said, well, screw it, let's do it. And the next moment I'm jumping down the side of the building, and on the way down the wind just takes me and hits me into the side of the building at 100 miles an hour, and I end up on top of this party like a rag doll with just blood coming streaming down from a very, very bruised bottom. Anyway, no stunts today, I've decided. That's not a good idea. But today what we are going to do is just celebrate 40 incredible years of Virgin Atlantic. The team who are currently there, and all the teams who've worked with Virgin Atlantic over the last 40 years. when we started with one plane, as that video showed, one second-hand 747, people really didn't give Virgin Atlantic 12 months, and I'm not sure whether we did either. We were competing with Pan Am with 300 planes, TWA with 300 planes, People Express with 200 planes, Air Florida with their 150 planes, and British Caledonian and a number of other airlines. And the reason that they've all disappeared and Virgin is still going is we have somehow, it's just down to the skills of everybody working for Virgin, sort of kept that the fun going. We've got a wonderful teams of people who look after everybody impeccably. They do it with a smile, they do it with a joke, and people come back for more. And so, it is possible to be the David versus the Goliath and survive and succeed. And I'm just so proud of everybody that 40 years on, you still get that wonderful Virgin difference when you fly on a Virgin plane. So I know there's a lot of press there going to be asking questions, and so I'll pass on to Shai and then be very happy to answer some questions in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Really a pleasure to be here. And Steve, thank you for welcoming us to Las Vegas. It really is one of our favorite destinations, and it's definitely one of the favorite destinations of our crew and our passengers. So I think we'll be coming back. We're of course delighted to return from the home of Virgin Atlantic in the north of England, from Manchester, returning to Las Vegas. I know you will talk a bit about that, but it's one of those special flights that we've been able to reintroduce post-COVID, and I think it's really a sign of things to come. And James, thank you for the wonderful hospitality in this wonderful and beautiful property. You are a great partner in Virgin Hotels, and there is so much more we can do. My plea to you is build a hotel to every place we fly. Just put a hotel. We'll try and fill it, and we'll go from there. Now, we were born to be different, and we're born to be different through Richard. And it's really a pleasure to be here with one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our generation. It's definitely the greatest entrepreneur that Britain has produced. So thank you for creating this wonderful company that we get to call Virgin Atlantic. And we're here to celebrate together this Ruby anniversary. I must say, I've never been to a press conference that feels more like a show. I'm sure Laura Brandon has some, exactly. Something would happen, but it feels a bit odd. I can't see any one of you, but I know you're having a drink at 9:30 in the morning. Good for you. Now, ever since...
Who hasn't been to bed yet? Come on, be honest.
Let's not ask everyone. And, our 40 years ago, the 22nd of June, 1984, was a maiden flight of Virgin Atlantic. And it was set up to challenge the competition, shake things up, bring a different perspective, and really introduce a sense of fun and delight into transatlantic aviation. I think we still do that very much. It's hard to imagine planes and airlines today without a flat bed, without a TV in the back of a screen, without ice cream after the show, without all the amenities and all the things that we're all accustomed to. A premium cabin that we introduced, 5 ways of flying, in terms of just putting different seats in different cabins, a bar on a plane, a social space as well. And all these things were done by Virgin Atlantic, by you, Richard, by the people who make Virgin Atlantic. Now, we face some ferocious competition. as we try to be the challenger brand, as we try to shake things up. And the competition was not always easy, and our fight for, to be here after 40 years was not easy along the way. And I know, and you don't have to admit it, some of you in this room, more than once, but at least once, doubted our ability to get to 40 years or survive, and you don't have to raise your hand. I know exactly who you are, and we will be coming for you a bit later. That I promise. Now, the fact that you're here tells us we've reached a really big milestone. It's just a year, but 40 years for an airline, especially across the Atlantic, with all the names, these big names that have tried and failed across the Atlantic, tells us that we're something special. And we're not afraid of the competition. To the contrary, the competition spurs us into action to continue to innovate, to do things differently for our people and our customers. Speaking of people, a bit of perspective. I've known Richard now 20 years, and of course Virgin Atlantic is 40 years. So I have a bit of, just a bit of perspective on how things work at Virgin Atlantic and what is a true differentiator. And I can tell you that our people, many of them are here today, of course, thank you for coming all the way to Las Vegas, and many of you are in the crowd, and many of them, of course, cheering from the UK and on planes. They are the thing that sets us apart, because all the things that I described, everybody's got now. It can be easily replicated, but the one thing that cannot be replicated is the passion of our people to delight our customers. And we say all they need to do, which is really hard to do, is make our customers smile, and it's really that simple. And if they achieve that, and if we achieve that together, I think we've got something quite unique. And my job, our job, Richard's job, everyone's job, is to ensure that that red thread that started 40 years ago with our people, with you, with the ethos that you've created in this company, that red thread, our job is to pull it forward to the next 40 years. And we have a purpose. We want to inspire people to take on the world. And we have a mission which is really lofty, which is to be the most loved travel company and become sustainably profitable. And I can assure you, on behalf of everyone at Virgin Atlantic, that we will not stop until we achieve this mission and this purpose. And it will take us, of course, a lifetime to do so. It's apt that we remember why we're here. It's that simple again. Now, it wouldn't be a press conference without a bit of announcements. I think the news is already out there, but I will reiterate. Of course, the return of flights from Manchester to Las Vegas is a big deal for all of us. The flight was, Juha came from Manchester. The flight was over 86% load factor. That's exactly the way we want it. 86% load factor, and it's our 15th service into the U.S. And we're announcing today the return of flying to Canada, to Toronto.
Third time's lucky.
We rehearsed this a lot, okay? And I think this time is different. Of course, we had Vancouver, we had Toronto, which was launched just pre-9/11, was not a really good time to do so. But the difference with Toronto this time is that our Indian network is so strong that it can provide connectivity for Indian nationals. Toronto happens to be the 8th largest center for Indian diaspora in the world, so it makes a lot of sense. And we can do that also if we strengthen ourselves with a domestic carrier. WestJet, we're announcing a code-share with WestJet out of their base in Calgary, and our flights from Toronto into London, onto India, should really make that happen. So, as I said at the beginning, some announcements on the back of an announcement we made last week also in Dubai and IATA. So a really strong network, we think, that serves our customers very, very well. Now, looking forward, our mission is clear, as I said. It is to be the most loved travel company, and that is a very, very high bar for a company, for any company, definitely in travel, but I think that if anyone can achieve this ultimate mission, it should be Virgin Atlantic, powered by our people in service of our customers. And we're going to find new ways to grow profitably, because that's essential for Virgin Atlantic. It's essential for every company to keep going forward. And I must say I'm quite excited to be here celebrating the 40th. I didn't know that we would get here. I didn't know that I would be here alongside Richard after 20 years. So,
Shai rang me and said, I think we should have a 40th anniversary. I said, well, what's wrong with the 50th? He went, well, are you trying to say that I may not be around or the airline may not be around?
Neither will happen, that is for sure. Juha, over to you.
Thanks, Shai. Thanks, Richard. Yes, from a commercial perspective, just like Shai announced, we'd love to come back to Canada, first of all, and Toronto. We flew to Canada last time a decade ago, but third time lucky, and we firmly believe this time around it will be very different. We announced the partnership with WestJet. We have Jared here from WestJet. We love a challenger. We are a challenger ourselves. WestJet is a challenger in Canada. So we love working with other challenger brands. So we're excited to come back to Toronto in March, so the 30th of March 2025, daily flight to London Heathrow. There's plenty of competition on the route, but there's also plenty of people traveling. There's 1.5 million people travel every year between Toronto and London. 1.5 million people. It's a lot of people, and many of them will choose us going forward. So we're excited to launch that route in March. And the key thing is, just like Shai said, is the connectivity to the wider network. So India, by this autumn, we'll have 5 daily flights to India, Mumbai, Delhi, and Bengaluru. And then, in addition to that, we're back to Tel Aviv in September. That's big for us as well. We return to Israel. And in addition to that, we have many SkyTeam partners we work with, the likes of Middle East Airlines to Beirut, to Kenya Airways to Nairobi, and Saudi to Saudi Arabia. All these flights are going to connect to this Toronto flight. So it's going to be very different. And then, of course, not forgetting Lagos and Joburg as well. So we have a much wider network than we ever had before to connect to this flight. Then talking about Las Vegas, we're back from Manchester. We're excited to be back with the seasonal flight. Outlook looks very good. What is important for us in Las Vegas is the fact that UK stands for 12% of all arrivals into Las Vegas. It's actually, like you said, the largest international market, so 12% of everyone coming here. What is nice detail as well, many Europeans don't like to come here in the summer, it's too hot, but the Brits love it. They love the ultimate heat. So we're happy to serve that heat already on the way here. What all this brings together is also Virgin Atlantic Holidays. We merged Virgin Atlantic Airline and the Holidays tour operator company back in May 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. And the reason we did it, that we firmly believe that by combining the forces of these two great Virgin travel brands under the Virgin Atlantic master brand makes us stronger, give us a stronger brand proposition, and also enables us to grow across the whole range of passengers, not only in the UK, where we're currently mainly based at, but the plan is to expand Virgin Atlantic Holidays to all markets we operate to. And by next year, we'll be selling UK as a destination, as a vacation package from the US and Canada as well. And why it's important for us is that, of course, we can then sell much more diverse holiday packages. It's not only the flights, it's the accommodation, it's the excursions, it's insurance, all the products that you need when you travel. We're going to combine it through our unified digital experience going forward. And of course, our amazing retail stores in the UK. And why James and the Virgin Hotels is important, that we really want to foster the triple red principle. So already when you choose us as an airline, that's one red. Holidays is the second red. And Virgin Hotels in this case will be the third one. Virgin Voyages equally so when you go cruising. And it's so important that we obviously deepen the cooperation, and we have absolutely amazing facility here, amazing property here in Las Vegas. So proud to be here. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to grow.
Thank you. Well, good morning, and welcome to the beautiful Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. First and foremost, to Richard, to Shai, and to Juha, congratulations on 40 years. It's incredible what you have achieved and what you continue to achieve. I did a recent media interview with a hotel industry specialist, and she asked me, who do I consider my competition? Meaning the hotel industry. And as I reflected on the question, my answer was this. I don't look inside the hotel industry for companies and brands to look up to. I benchmark how we perform at Virgin Hotels against Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Voyages, and our sister Virgin companies, because nobody does it like Virgin. And that red thread that runs so powerfully through Virgin Atlantic is running through Virgin Hotels as well. I joined the company 3 years ago, and we were at 3 operating hotels. This week, we will be at 17. And there's no market that is more important than Virgin Hotels and Las Vegas. And Steve, I want to thank you. Your support over the years, not just for Virgin Hotels Las Vegas, but for the market, has been extraordinary. Keep up the incredible work. I think it's another record year that you're heading towards in 2024, so kudos to you, and thank you for everything you do. I'm thrilled you're all here at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas, and I am so proud of the team here for the brilliant job that they do, and I know they're in the room. Cliff, if you could just say a quick hi. Hello. Cliff and his team are doing some amazing things here, and thank you for hosting us. It's so good to have the broader Virgin family here at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. As you know, last year Virgin Hotels merged with our sister hotel company, Virgin Limited Edition, to create Virgin Hotels Collection. And in 2023, we opened the beautiful Virgin Hotels Edinburgh, right on the historic, picture-perfect Victoria Street, steps from the Royal Mile and the castle. And we also opened in New York, the Virgin Hotels New York on 30th and Broadway, which Nomad area has become the new heartbeat and epicenter of Manhattan. And of course, we opened the beautiful San Bagnola in Mallorca, Spain, which was a labor of love for Richards for over 20 years. And I'm delighted to say that those 3 hotels, like the rest of the portfolio, have been super well received by our customers, by our guests, and by you, the media. And they're off to an incredibly good start. Earlier this year, we announced a new addition to the Virgin Limited Edition portfolio. Finch Hatton's beautiful luxury safari camp in Kenya will be joining the portfolio July 1st. And I can't tell you too much about it, but by the end of this week, we will be announcing a very exciting new addition, following Shai's direction that we need to be in every market he flies to and from. But much more to come on that. So please stay in touch with the team. Please watch our social media posts. And we'll have an exciting announcement to share with you later this week. People at Virgin Hotels, just like Virgin Atlantic and every other Virgin company, are the success, the backbone, and the secret sauce for Virgin Hotels. And I'm so proud of what they do every single day. And just recently, their work has been recognized with the Dyslexia Thinking Badge, which both Virgin Hotels teams and Virgin Limited Edition teams have been awarded. And in addition, this year we were certified with Autism Double Check, which is a training program designed to really be a warm welcome for dyslexic families. And there's tens of millions. And for those of you who are familiar, it's very difficult to travel with a dyslexic family member. So we are super proud of our team and how well that they've embraced that community and making it possible to travel, and to travel really well for dyslexic kids and family members. Again, a huge warm welcome to you all. We're super excited you're here. And again, congratulations on your 40th anniversary.
Okay. I think this is out of custom, but I think my colleagues will be handing out champagne. And we'll do that before the Q&A because we want the questions to be softer, nicer. This is it's a birthday. So we thought the only way to do that is give you alcohol at 10 o'clock. So we're going to raise a glass, Richard, if we can, to Virgin Atlantic. I'm not going to ask you to stand for the Queen or the King, but Richard, cheers. Here's to the next 40 years of Virgin Atlantic.
My goodness, I thought I walked into the press conference of One Direction getting back together. Swooning over here. Okay, now it's time for the Q&A. Now that you're nicely drunk, think we're going to start with John Arledge.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. Two things, one looking back, one looking forward.
You and I are the only people in the workout room this morning.
I know, that would be illustrated.
I wonder where the others go.
I think we're a bit
Because
sad.
we're older than the others, and therefore we get a better.
We're still 24 in showbiz years, I think is the key. Looking back, I just wonder whether you slightly regret not eating more at British Airways lunch, whether you might push it a little bit harder to be a little bit bigger. And looking forward, Shai and I and many others in this room were in Dubai last week. It's perfectly obvious that loads and loads of people travel BA through the Gulf because of the code share with Qatar Airways. Do you have any plans to partner with anyone in the Gulf, possibly A to hand, to try and expand code shares going to Asia and to Africa?
So if you look at what, say, Virgin Australia's done, it's managed to get, I think, about 40% of the Australian market against Qantas. And because we've managed to get slots. For Virgin Atlantic, we're slot restricted, and therefore we haven't been able to, and nobody ever will, because BA were given the slots by government, and you know it's taken us 40 years to get as many slots as we currently have. But we are, you know, we're flying to most of the major routes that we'd like to fly to, and over the years ahead, hopefully we'll be able to, you know, get a few more slots and you know keep them honest on some further routes as well, and then maybe expand. You know, we're into Manchester. We may go back to Gatwick at some stage, which I'm still pushing. So I think on that, I think we've we have managed to I think give BA a run for their money on all the routes that we fly, and that's something we're very proud of. We have managed to survive those 40 years against all those major competitors, whether it was TWA or Pan Am or Air Florida, or I think there's about 20 different airlines that were much larger than us who disappeared, and we're still here. Whether we'll tie up one of those carriers, I don't know. You tell us.
So first of all, look, I think Richard's right. Our ability to grow at Heathrow is constrained, but we were the fastest growing airline at Heathrow over the last few years by virtue of moving all our operations from Gatwick into Heathrow, by acquiring new slots and flying more out of Heathrow. With respect to the Middle East, we just announced a co-chair with Saudi. We're part of SkyTeam, and I think it's fair to say that that area is very interesting to us. We haven't yet concluded with our partners what is the right strategy. Clearly, Qatar is tied, Emirates are tied. There's not many other players, but there are new emerging players coming out from the Middle East, and we'll have to see how this all shakes up. I think a bit of time is not a bad idea for us to get it right with respect to the Middle East.
Could Riyadh Air be one, or would that be, would Saudi mix that?
No, actually, they're both now owned by the PIF, the Public Investment Fund. So no, it's not contradiction, and they actually, the country is so large that it's actually one is more in Jeddah, one is more in Riyadh. So it's no surprise that IATA was busy, but we haven't found anything to say just yet.
Is that ruling out Etihad?
We never say never, you know that.
I used to say watch this space, but then people think I'm talking about something else.
Thank you, John. Nick Boulos.
Hi there, thank you. Question for James and Richard. Vegas is famous for its residencies. If you could book any artist or band to do a residency here at the Virgin Hotel Las Vegas, which one would it be? Who are your guilty pleasures when it comes to music?
Well, I would love Culture Club to do a residency here at Boy George. I'm actually travelling with Boy George. We're doing Virgin Voyages. We're going to be doing a different voyage, every day for a few days. So whether we'll still love each other at the end of it, we'll see. We're going about 3 different continents as well. But we signed Culture Club many years ago. He's absolutely delightful, and I still love hearing the music wafting through the air. But if he's not available, I'll check out the Stones maybe and see if they'd like to come along.
I would agree with that. The best performer I've seen on that stage actually is Richard Branson when we did the opening party there that night. But he's very hard to book. But Culture Club would be a huge hit. It's impossible. But if I had my dream, I'd love to get Zeppelin to do a residency here. I'd love to get. It's impossible. But if we could get an impersonator to do Tom Petty or some of the other amazing artists that recently passed away, I think that would be great. But having said that, Cliff has an incredible lineup here over the next few months.
Queen would be good.
Charlotte over there.
Promoted the first ever Queen concert in Hyde Park many years ago.
Thanks, Charlotte. Ryan from Bloomberg. Another question about the future of the airline. Virgin Atlantic has pioneered a lot of innovation in aviation, from the seat back to premium economy. And just wondering where you see travel, and especially premium travel, going next, and what more can Virgin do to compete with rivals such as the Middle East carriers?
So first of all, I think we can be. I think the teams of Virgin can be proud of the fact that when we started 40 years ago, the only reason I went to the airline business was I had to travel on these other people's airlines, and it was abysmal. I mean, you were lucky to get a lump of chicken dumped in your lap by a very surly crew. There was, the planes were full of smoke. You could maybe see one film if you were lucky on the whole journey, and there was just no positive redeeming factors whatsoever. The seats were bolt upright, and that was why we came in, was to come in and change all that. And there's no question that the reason we survived was we came in with a really fantastic product, fantastic teams of people, and the other airlines didn't like it. And obviously BA launched its Dirty Tricks campaign against us, as they'd done to other airlines, and tried to push us out of business. But because we were different, we survived, and because I think we won the court case, that was very important as well. So move the clock forward 40 years. A lot of those things other airlines have introduced, and so what we have is, I think, in my opinion, when I fly on Virgin, we still have the best crew in the world, and that's, it's down to, you can have the same exterior, you can have the same similar seats and food and other things, but it's the people that work for the company that make the difference, and how that's managed to last 40 years, heaven knows how. I mean, I remember on the very first flight looking around and thinking, can we keep this spirit up for 12 months, let alone 40 years, and it really has. But having said that, we're always looking at ways to innovate. I mean, like today we decided on the top of, with 2 of us were working out in the workout room, and Shai and I met afterwards, and I said, we've got this wonderful area right at the top of the Virgin Clubhouse at Heathrow. Not much goes on. Let's put a outdoor workout equipment up there, so people can watch the planes. They can be working out. Something we can do nobody else is doing, and so all the time just trying to come up with little things like that can make a difference. And anyway, there was a couple of other quite exciting ideas which you'll hear about soon. But I think the spirit of urgence it will hopefully live on for many years to come.
If I can just add, first of all, thank you to, we have amazing customers here who've been with us for many, many years, and everything we're doing is really to serve them. So actually, at the end of the day, you should really ask them why they continue to fly with Virgin Atlantic for so many, many years. And I think you'll find that a lot of
with some of our cabin crew could like pop up and join us and stand either side. So we're talking about you. So carry on. They were showing off the uniforms in the lounge, the old history of the uniforms.
Are you going to run a competition again?
I want, yeah, right. Can anybody remember what each uniform was? Sorry, shall I interrupt you?
Go ahead. This is important.
Okay, so this one. Anybody remember any of the other uniforms that? Elizabeth. Who said that? Did you like Elizabeth Manuel's? Which was your favourite of the? Which was your favourite? All right. I've been trying to persuade him to do a retro.
We're now dissing Vivian Westwood. Yes, this is
okay, thank you. So that was the right answer. I promise you, it wasn't Brian. Thank you very much. Anyway, no, I just thought we should do a retro thing, and I think we've settled that matter. Right.
You think that this stuff comes cheap, right? This is going to cost you, and I'm going to hand you the bill.
You do already.
What I was going to say, Charlotte, is also, we're not stopping here, and actually it's good to have our colleagues on stage. Leadership in aviation right now is not just about the hardware or the software. It's really about the human connections. What I think we pride ourselves in is that we try and make our environment inclusive to everyone, no matter what they stand for and how they look and what they want to be. So everyone is included in Virgin Atlantic, both for the customers and for our people who delight these customers. So the change in the tattoo policy and the makeup policy and the dress code policy were things to do. But even on the hardware, we are thinking about the future of Virgin Atlantic at Heathrow. We're thinking about the journey end to end, how to connect the dots much, much deeper into the travel journey. We call ourselves now not just an airline, but a travel company. The most loved travel company, not just airline. So we can go further. AI revolution we haven't talked about today, but of course it will allow us to have so much more information, so much more action that is oriented towards the individual. So I think you're going to see us and others do more of it, and we still fly the youngest fleet across the Atlantic. So there's a lot to play for, but all with the red thread of our people and the spectacular service that they provide on board.
I think Virgin Atlantic bringing in letting people dress as they feel comfortable and just be themselves. I think that was a brave move that was made a year ago, and other airlines have followed suit, but not quite. If you're British Airways, if you've got something on your arm, you've got to cover it up. So, but Virgin, if you've had a tattoo, you can actually have fun talking to your customers about what the history of your tattoo was and so on. So these things I think matter, and our customers like it and our crew love it.
Okay, watch out panel, we've got Mark climbing Sky News.
Thanks, Laura.
I've just realised that my trousers have shrunk, so Elizabeth Emanuel's going to have to help me.
So a couple of questions, if I may. First to
who's talking?
Richard over here, Mark Klum from Sky News.
Where is Mark? Oh my God! Whenever I hear that Mark has Mark Kleiman's got a story. I think, oh God, what's he discovered now? How do you get all these big stories first?
Let's talk about that.
Anyway, nice to talk to you.
First question for you, Richard. You talked about capacity constraints at Heathrow. How do you think the ownership structure of Heathrow might need to evolve to better service airline customers going forward? And then the second question to you and to Shai. As you've said, the aviation industry is unrecognisable from the one that you launched into in 1984. If you both have one prediction for the industry in 2064, what would it be?
You answer the first question while I think about the second one.
So the first one on Heathrow and the change of ownership. So I think we have a very interesting opportunity at Heathrow. There's likely a change of government. A new government will come in a few weeks' time. There's a relatively new leadership at Heathrow, and likely a change of ownership if that were to happen. And I think all of us want to see a better Heathrow. Heathrow, as you know, we're great partners when it comes to the operations and the customer service, but we've been at odds in terms of them being the most expensive airport in the world and have tried and failed to double the fees. So I think we, the airlines, and our customers deserve a better airport, and I expect this to be not as easy to change that ownership, especially now that they're waiting to see what happens in government. We understand, at least from what we gather, that there are the ability to sell more shares if somebody wants to sell their shares, and it's not being that easy to find a lot of people to buy into it. But from our perspective, it's a great opportunity to change the future of Heathrow in service of the airlines and its customers. And I think you're going to see more in that space from us and others.
Yeah, and just trying to think what are the radical differences that are going to happen. I do think, despite what the Sunday Times wrote, he's on his phone. But I do think we were the first long-haul airline to fly with a SAF fuel. I do think that before we did that, people thought that it was impossible to get a plane to go long haul on total SAF fuel. So I think having achieved that and showing that engines can actually run on sustainable aviation fuel, I think the inevitability will be that hopefully well before that date, all planes are running on some kind of SAF fuel. It's now just up to the fuel companies to produce enough quantity for that to happen. Obviously, the lighter planes get the less fuel they use, and I'm sure that over the years, planes will get lighter and lighter. If they're running on clean fuels, then it will not matter if they go faster. So I think that space companies may well by then have produced planes that are going point to point much quicker, and maybe airline companies as well, or airline manufacturers. Anyway, I can't think. Just a few thoughts. But.
If I can just add, to get to 2064, we have to pass 2050. 2050 is net zero. If we look at the challenges of facing aviation, not Virgin Atlantic, aviation, it's to really demonstrate that this hard-to-abate, carbon-intensive industry can become net zero. If we achieve that, we'll be able to achieve something else. If you look at the world around us, the numbers vary, but it's anywhere between 60 to 70% of the people that around the world have never been on a plane. Our job is to get them on a plane, for them to enjoy the world, to see how amazing it is, to make connections, to study, to learn, to investigate. and explore. And all that can only happen if we decarbonize aviation by 2050 and definitely by 2064. So I think the two are there. So I would like to think that by 2064, every person has had the opportunity to step on this wonderful machine and connect with another human being on the other side of the world and feel special. And it's our job, the industry, to make that happen for them.
Gil, I think maybe you were Shai was referring to earlier.
No. I'm not calling names.
Just building on that point around sustainable aviation fuel, you just mentioned there that it's an important, where the industry is going to be going. Risk is only dreadfully boring, and people who know me can be. There is a debate at the moment about who should be paying for this sustainable aviation fuel. It is a fuel that is going to cost more at this moment in time, whether it should be governments, whether it should be the airlines. Ultimately, whilst that debate is going on, the customer is going to have to pay on that. So my question would be should you be warning the customer that if they want to fly on an aircraft that is close to zero emissions, they're going to have to expect to pay more in their fares? That was to Richard.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, we need entrepreneurs who come up with fuels that are going to power planes that are cost effective, and that's what entrepreneurs' job is to do. And I wish them all the best, so I don't have to confront that problem.
Look, it's a multifaceted problem. I think you've only mentioned two participants, the governments and the airlines. We've taken out, indeed, the customers. We've taken out the big stuff, which is the majors, the oil producers in the world. Right now you don't ask us how we get our fuel. You just expect us to go and buy it from our suppliers. I think we should just buy sustainable aviation fuel from our suppliers. Now, how do you get there in the short run? That's the question, because there is a shortage of supply and a high demand, especially in Europe and Western Europe, where there are mandates. We are mandated, or are likely to be mandated, once the new government is likely to put it into force, to reach 10% sustainable aviation fuel by 2030. Right now, 0.5% of the world's fuel is sustainable aviation fuel. We need probably an upscale of 100 times by 2030, 120 times, numbers vary, just to get to 10%. The burden cannot be on airlines on their own. The burdens should be on creating the environment for entrepreneurs to demonstrate their technology work, and for scale-up to happen. For that, the government needs to put the money that we pay as taxes and put it to work in support of this nascent industry. And only if that happens. Now, will prices go up? I think that they may go up. I'm not predicting it. I think we estimated anywhere by 2030, if all things are as they are today and all the prices remain as they are, possibly by 20, 30 or 40 pounds per sector up by 2030. And that's the price of decarbonizing aviation.
I had an entrepreneur contact me a week ago in Mallorca saying, could I take the cooking fat oil off your ships, your cruise ships, and then I will supply your hotel with clean fuel from the cooking oil. So I do, joking aside, I do think entrepreneurs will play a big role in getting these things done, and will hopefully make a business out of it and help move it forward.
Chris Jasper.
Hi, Richard. Down here. Your view still seems to be pretty utopian for the outlook for the industry. You don't subscribe to those sort of fears that some in the industry might have, that there'll be a major backlash against aviation and air travel over coming decades as you become inevitably, and through no fault of your own, an outlier in your inability to make a quick transition to net zero because of the SAF shortage and so on. You don't believe in that idea of younger generations somehow curbing their travel instincts and so on, especially in Europe?
So I think there are going to be some things that are going to take longer than most things. So solar and wind is moving forward rapidly. I think battery-driven short-haul airlines are going to start moving forward dramatically. The actual area that is really starting to use a lot of energy is AI and use of mobile phones and iPads. I mean that is soaring at the moment, and it's really important that data centers, etc., are put up in places like Iceland and not in places that are going to use a lot of fuel. I think long haul airlines are part of the problem, and we have got to push on fast with SAF so that the sort of scenario that you just outlined that never takes place, and that people can feel comfortable about flying on planes, and if not, we've got to. I mean, I've just come back from Brazil, where the beautiful forest is being cut down still by the day, to look at whether we could look at a big planting of trees and whether we could make that more economical and environmentally friendly than putting cattle farms along the forests. And actually, I think it can be. I think it can create more jobs, and that is a possibility, and that would be the kind of thing for long-haul airlines to invest in, which we're certainly going to explore.
Reese?
Hi, Shai. Up down here. Under your leadership, Virgin has gone from largely a point-to-point to a more of a network carrier relying on co-chairs, SkyTeam, that sort of thing. You still haven't got a short-haul fleet. Is that something you think hampers Virgin Atlantic? Is that a limiting factor for you? Do you see yourself venturing there again at some point?
You want to take this? I would say definitely the focus for us is to actually connect with partners. We have a number of connecting partners at Heathrow already, same for Manchester. Up to 25% of our passengers now are connecting. So it's a significant increase what we were just 10, 15 years ago. SAS being the latest airline joining SkyTeam, 17 daily flights at Heathrow, perfect. We connect the dots and they supply more passengers and we feed them. So our plan is not to go into short haul. Let's not forget intermodality as well. Of course, we don't have current trains perfectly at Heathrow, but that will be the future. So instead of jumping on a plane, short haul, we should connect to the trains from an environmental perspective as well. So we focus on long haul. That's what is sustainable, is needed for decades to go, and not forget global supply chains equally. We sometimes forget cargo. Cargo is crucially important for our profitability, but equally for global supply of urgent medicines and pharmaceuticals and other goods. That is crucially needed decades to come, and therefore air travel is important. But we focus on long haul, and we partner with other airlines and train companies in short haul.
Do you think there's a space for long-range short-haul aircraft at Virgin Atlantic?
What's the space? You never know.
Any last questions? I'm just down there.
Tom George from the Manchester Evening News. Just a question for Richard. This flight makes Manchester the first UK city outside London to have a direct link with Las Vegas. Why was it so important for you to offer that to the people of Manchester? And what does it say about Manchester's status as an international city and how that's changed over the years?
Well, Manchester's always been important to Virgin. Obviously, the West Coast main line to Manchester, we managed to open it up, I think, to billions more people, and made it much more accessible to the south and to the north by putting Pendolino trains on that route and cutting the journey times down dramatically, and again having a wonderful team of people working for Virgin Trains. So I think that made quite a big difference in opening up Manchester, and maybe there's been a hint of something in the press. We'd obviously love to come back soon. I think Manchester is now a really major player in the UK, and a lot of people have moved there, and it's become a wealthier city, and people have got the wherewithal to be able to get out of Manchester and go to Vegas, so I think it was a clever, wise decision by our team to do direct flights from Manchester here. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's a cornerstone of our holiday strategy. We already have Orlando, we have Barbados, so Las Vegas was a logical third sort of leisure-weighted destination. But we should not forget, just like Richard said, business travel. After pandemic, many people have moved back home, you could say, from London as well. There's more and more business travelers out of Manchester. That's why it's crucially important for us to fly to New York, to Atlanta, connecting to the whole of the US. And Las Vegas and Orlando, both of them are big conference centers as well, so we should not forget the conference, meetings and conferences business. So we're very keen to team up with Steve and the team to work on conferences and meetings going forward.
Okay, well,
thank you very much.
Thank you all, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to celebrating further from 7 p.m. But until then, round of applause for our panel.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.